This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke, chapter 24, verses 35 to 48. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. Then the two went over everything that happened on the road and how they recognized him when he broke the bread. While they were saying all this, Jesus appeared to them and said, "Peace be with you." They thought they were seeing a ghost and were scared half to death. He continued with them, "Don't be upset, and don't let all these doubting questions take over. Look at my hands. Look at my feet. It's really me. Touch me. Look me over from head to toe. A ghost doesn't have muscle and bone like this." As he said this, he showed them his hands and feet. They still couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was too much. It seems too good to be true. He asked, "Do you have any food here?" They gave him a piece of leftover fish they had cooked. He took it and ate it right before their eyes. Then he said, "Everything I told you while I was with you comes to this. All the things written about me in the law of Moses, in the prophets, and in the Psalms have to be fulfilled." He went on to open their understanding of the Word of God, showing them how to read the Bibles this way. He said, "You can see now how it is written that the Messiah suffers, rises from the dead on the third day, and then a total life change through the forgiveness of sins is proclaimed in his name to all nations, starting from here, from Jerusalem. You are the first to hear and to see it. You are the witnesses. What comes next is very important. I am sending what my Father promised to you. So stay here in the city until he arrives, until you are equipped with power from on high." The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 24, verses 35 to 48. He stood among them. That is how John described the first apparition of Jesus to his disciples after the resurrection. The disciples were huddled together, with the doors locked because they feared the Jews. But Jesus breaks through the confinements and he stood among them. He just stood inside the circle of their fears. Left to ourselves, we would remain forever inside our locked doors of anxieties and fears, and efforts to bring us out would be an arduous task. The risen Lord comes to meet us where we are, comes without force, arguments, or explanations, and he liberates us into peace and joy that God alone can give. Easter Sunday had been intense. First, some women had the experience of two characters, clothed in bright robes, announcing the resurrection of Jesus. In the afternoon, two other disciples, on their way to Emmaus, were accompanied by a pilgrim who warmed their hearts with his words and revealed himself as the risen Christ. Gradually, the community of disciples began to realize that Jesus had really risen. But now, with the body of Jesus missing from the tomb, the threat of the Jews launching an attack on the disciples was very real. So they shut themselves up, and Jesus stood amid their fears and greeted them, "Peace be with you." The first reaction is one of wonder, doubt, and fear. Then he says, "Look at my hands and my feet. It is me alive." There is something curious to note here. Usually, our identification documents will carry a photo of our face, but the identification marks of Christ are his hands and feet. Jesus did not ask the disciples to look at his face, but at his feet and hands. Those were the hands that healed the sick, raised the dead, blessed the children, broke the bread, and those blessed feet that walked so many places, the feet that accompanied the needy and walked into the houses of sinners. What Jesus showed the disciples were not his wounds, but the scars of love. Those signs would be carried into eternity. The risen one is also the crucified. Those feet and hands show that when you live for love, your sufferings become a sign of tenderness, no matter how bad. These hands and feet of Jesus can also be seen in all those who work for the good of humanity. True disciples of Jesus must also be identified by their hands and feet. Blessed are the feet and hands that are marked by the acts of love, because they reveal the presence of God. When the night of our lives comes, God will ask us to show him our hands and our feet. Do they have the scars of love for God and his people?